I now want to take you through a good number of these visualizations that you can add to your reports. The first visualization I want to add is what they call a card. Sometimes you just have a single number, a single fact, a single value of extreme importance that you want to draw attention, show in an isolated fashion on your report. And if that's the case, then the type of visualization you want to employ is a card. So on the visualization pane, you can see I'm resting on a card visual. So I click that, and that just adds a card to my report. Now I need to now drag a field that is going to be the single value or the number that I want to highlight. And so I want to highlight the population figure. So I'm going to actually open up the population query, and there's my population field, and I'm literally going to drag it onto the card. And so it immediately tells me that the population, the total population, is 39 trillion. Now you might think, oh my lord, that's large. 39 trillion is all the continents, the entire world, and for the entire period 1900 into the future to 2100. So it's the entire figure. You may also notice population appears in the fields bucket, and if I hit the drop down, we are summing the population field, and so that's what you're seeing in that particular card. And in fact, if I hit the X, I would delete it and it removes it from the card, but I'm going to drag it and drop it back into the field, or drag it and drop it on the card, and that's the value I'm getting. Okay, so now what I'd like to do is I'd actually like to filter this value for the fact that I'm wanting to hone in on the continent Europe. So I'm going to now employ my filters pane. Now, when I click on this particular card, it says that population is the filter, but I need it to also be continent. So I'm going to grab the field continent and drop it into the add data fields here. Now by doing that, I can now do a basic filter and filter out which continent I want. And it's even telling me some figures here. So I'm going to choose Europe. And when I tick Europe, then it says it's 3 trillion instead of 39 trillion. And you've got to remember that's from 1900 to 2100. It's summing and adding up all the populations. So it's not for any particular year. That's why it's so high. I'm going to collapse and I can do that just by hitting this little chevron here. I can collapse the continent. I could hit the X here, which would delete the continent. And I could even hit the padlock, which means that they won't be able to take that continent filter off. It will always be Europe. So by they, I say the readers of this report. So I could even lock it with a padlock. But I'm going to collapse the filter so it's out of view. And I now want to format this card a little bit. So I want to give it a color. So I'm going to go to my format your visual. I could go looking for the particular setting, which I know is under call out value, and there's a color drop down, and I could change the color there to this blue, and you can see it's just changed the color on there. I could also add a little bit of shadow. Now if I don't want to try and find it, I can search for shadow, and there it is there, and I'll just turn that on. And you can see that's got a little bit of a shadow going around the outside of it. That's then just as far as I want to format it. And so I'm just going to resize this. I'll pop it up and be happy with its position, which I am, maybe a little bit shorter. And there it is there. Now, what I want to do is duplicate that card. And then I'm just going to change the actual continent that it's reflecting. So you have to be happy with that first. So I'm going to click on it. Control C, Control V. That's for Asia. V, that's for Africa. V, that's for Oceania. And V, that's for the Americas. And now I'm just going to pop them into position. 1, 2, 3, and 4. they're no way aligned. So I'm going to click this, hold the shift or the control key and choose all the other ones and go to format and align them to the bottom. So they're lined up to the bottom. I'm going to click this option here. I'm going to go to the filters pane. I'm going to expand the continent, take Europe off and put Asia on, and that causes that figure to change. I'll click on this option. I'll choose continent, take Europe off and put Africa on. Is that? Yep, very high. Okay, I'm going to click on this option here. I'm going to open up the continent, take off Europe and put Oceania on. And this one here, I'm going to expand, take off Europe and put both the Americas, North America and South America, both on and collapse. Okay, so I've got my filter on. Still very high numbers because we've yet to filter by any particular year, which we'll do in the next video.